Miren, el consumidor
Consumers
no
are
es
not
omnisciente.
omniscient. We consumers, any of us, as human beings, men and women, when we consume, are not gods. We do not know all the alternatives which are available, and which the market is constantly creating ex novo, new products with new features, new characteristics, subtle differences in quality and price. Consumers need information. We need to be continually provided with new information about the alternatives that arise. Not only that, however, we also need to be persuaded, to be convinced, to be given advice. Convince me that this product is the best. This takes place constantly in the business world and in all human actions. Let's say I'm a girl's suitor, that I want her to fall in love with me and marry me. Well, the girl has many suitors, and she likes to be loved, but she is not omniscient. She needs her suitors to advertise themselves, to send her messages. How does one send a message? Well, I don't know. Traditionally, a bouquet of flowers, or would you like to go out with me tonight? Any of the usual methods. And the girl lets herself be loved. Hey, convince me you're better than Tom, Dick or Harry. And each suitor, in one way or another, displays his personality and tries to win the girl over. We are always advertising ourselves, you know, and vice versa. The girls are too. If not, why do you think they wear high heels or a perfume that turns all heads when they walk by? Why do you think they wear makeup and get dressed up? They are advertising themselves. We are constantly advertising ourselves. Isn't that so? Well, this process is as old as mankind. The social process cannot operate without advertising. Advertising fulfills the function of transmitting information to consumers in an attractive manner, giving them advice and persuading them. Depending upon the environment in which we move, advertising will be of one sort or another. What is advertising like, specifically in the business world? Well, that's very easy to find out. Simply turn on the TV and watch the commercials for the goods and services advertised. What is advertising like? Well, the first characteristic Mises mentions is that it is normally shrill, noisy, coarse and puffing. In fact, when the intellectuals of the moment turn on the television and see the commercials, they end up disgusted. Blech! What a lack of delicacy! What a lack of culture! Why is advertising shrill, noisy, coarse and puffing? Well, basically there are two reasons. Because it must attract attention, and because the people advertising is aimed at on a massive scale are not these intellectual elitist snobs. The vast majority of the people on the receiving end of advertising are themselves shrill, noisy, coarse and puffing. And if we watch one of those garish programs that are always full of grisly details about other people's lives, what do you call those shows? Tabloid television. People say the owners of television channels are to blame for tabloid TV. The scoundrels are poisoning us with trash. No, ladies and gentlemen, it's that the people who watch it are trashy. Yes, and if not, they would not watch it. In fact, I must confess that at one point I took a liking to it myself. I used to get home really late, at 3:30, and there was a cheap show on Telecinco called Aquí hay tomate, and I loved it. I used to forget about everything when Aquí hay tomate was on. That means there's a little trashiness in yours truly as well. Anyway, that's why advertising is shrill, noisy, coarse and puffing. Second, advertising costs are part of the cost of producing any good. Practically speaking, they are like transportation costs. What difference is there between physically transporting potatoes from Murcia to Madrid and letting people know through an advertisement that there are potatoes in Madrid? There's really no difference. Both are costs in the production process. Now, commercial advertising has another very important characteristic, and that is that it permits experimentation. You might be deceived by an ad the first time or the second, but not the third or the fourth. Here's a typical ad. Hello, Mum. which of these two laundry detergents do you prefer? Here we have an ordinary detergent, and here we have Ariel. May I have a shirt, please? The presenter takes the shirt. We're going to wash this shirt using the ordinary detergent. Then he pulls the shirt out and holds it up. And in the ad, the shirt is all grey. Now we're going to wash the shirt with Ariel. We put it into the machine, and when we take it out, it's a brilliant gleaming white. Then the presenter asks the lady, "Ma'am, which do you prefer? This one or this one?" And the lady, who is the typical plump middle-aged housewife, so all the women watching the program identify with her, says, "Well, I prefer Ariel." "Ah, so you want Ariel? Well, listen, I'll trade you 2 bottles of this ordinary detergent for that bottle of Ariel." "No, I want my Ariel. How about 3 bottles?" "No, I'll take the Ariel." Well, everyone who sees the ad ends up convinced that Ariel is the ultimate laundry detergent, and we all head to the store to buy some. We go to the market and we buy Ariel. Then we put it into our washing machine. We turn it on, and suddenly there is a terrible racket. The machine explodes. Tons of soap suds come pouring out. We flood all the neighbors' apartments. Our clothes are destroyed. Do you think any advertising campaign will ever get us to buy Ariel again? No. And that is the third characteristic. Commercial advertising permits experimentation, which results in the following peculiar effect. Only good products tend to be advertised in the market, for if the product is bad and you spend money on advertising, and yet when consumers try the product, they decide against it, then the investment in advertising is a net loss. Thus, the tendency in the market, the law of tendency, which carries no guarantee, just a tendency, is that only good products are advertised. These are the only products which, when sold, enable the entrepreneur to recover the cost of the advertising investment. I repeat, in the free market, and there lies the great wonder, advertising permits experimentation. If you do not like a product, you can stop buying it. In contrast, there is a perverse, toxic sort of advertising which does not allow people to experiment or stop buying. The top architect of this kind of advertising was a German man named Goebbels, who invented political propaganda. Well, he didn't really invent it. It's older than that. Even Julius Caesar and Pericles engaged in it. Ladies and gentlemen, the truly dangerous sort of advertising is political advertising. Advertising that permits no experimentation. Advertising financed by public money. For once you have voted people into office, they can do whatever they want to for 4 years. You can't bring a lawsuit against them and say, "Hey, you did not honor the promises you made me. You went back on your word." It's ironic. If it were really necessary to monitor, regulate and protect citizens from a type of propaganda, it would be political propaganda, which should be prohibited. Nevertheless, political propaganda is not regulated, but the authorities insist on continually regulating business propaganda. For instance, it is forbidden to advertise cigarettes, and if you produce them, you must print a warning this big on the package. Let's see, are there any smokers in class? Smoking can kill. Well, thank goodness it doesn't say, "Smoking will kill you." Smoking may reduce blood flow and causes impotence. Now there's a convincing warning for you. Damn, it causes impotence. Hell, I didn't know that. Here you go. Hey man, I'm sorry if you're impotent. He does look a little limp, doesn't he? Well, he smokes. They add insult to injury. They force the very producer to warn that his own product causes impotence. Just what we needed. And this is a free society? There should be a mandatory warning. Voting for Zapatero or Rajoy causes impotence. Just imagine. Everybody would tear their hair out. But what are you saying? That goes against the freedom of speech, etc. Well, at least in the case of cigarettes, people can learn for themselves through experience. Maybe his father smoked all his life and died of cancer, as happened to my grandfather. That convinced me to quit smoking for good. I learned through experience. Goebbels said, "A lie repeated 1,000 times becomes a truth." If you repeat and repeat and repeat a lie, it becomes a truth. People are manipulated through political propaganda. I've drawn a contrast between the two types so that you will see how perverse political propaganda is and how fruitful business propaganda is.